Okay, hello team. Today I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about what you can expect from a geriatric client when they lay down on the table and you're palpating them, right? Because we don't get a lot of experience of that in school, and I need you to understand what it's probably going to feel like. When you touch the skin is immediately most likely going to feel harder. It's either going to flake off, so you got to be real careful when you're contacting them. Be a observer. I need you to look at them and visually take in what's going on with their body before you even contact them. Because a lot of times you're going to see tons of bruises on the arms. You're going to see how their skin is sloughing off. You're going to see arthritis in the knuckles. You're going to see arthritis in the elbows, arthritis in everything. That is completely okay. But if you can see it before you can contact it, that's going to help you in your approach. Because the moment that you touch them, you're already going to have an idea of it could feel like this. And when you let them feel your touch, if they have pain somewhere because of how light you go or because of how deep you go, it may feel better or worse to them. And engaging in a contact that you understand may feel better to them is vital. So be an observer of their body before you contact it, because you will know the pressure, the intention, and the focus points that will help them feel better on the table when you're palpating them. Good? All right. Um, let's go with palpation. Today I'm just gonna, we'll do small palpation so that you have an idea of what they're gonna feel like. They're gonna lay down on the table, and while they're standing, you already can see some things that are happening in their body. You already see some imbalances in the muscles, tissues, and in the structure of their body. I want you to have them lay down however is appropriate, and you will be able to see majority of time there's like the kyphosis is increased. Majority of the time. Yeah, there is an increase in kyphosis, and the tension inside their body is increased. The tension inside their skin, the tension inside their fascia, muscles, bones, everything is increased. They have had a longer time here on earth than us so far, and it has not always been easy. So the geriatric population come with a big backstory, right? They've lived longer, they have stored things in their back that have come all the way from their childhood, and maybe they've never seen a chiropractor or any type of body work before. You're the first person they see. So when you contact them, be okay if they have high tension, and the moment that you touch their skin, it feels like you're touching bone. It's going to be stored super high. The cervical thoracic junction is going to feel like a slope majority of times. The kyphosis is so much like this, and then the CT junction, boom, and then the neck, you can barely feel those cervical vertebrae when they're face down because they're going to be like this. And so let me make sure that you can see me. They're going to have this, right? We always see those pictures of older people like this, and it's not a bluff. Those pictures aren't made up. That is something that happens, and they look like that. So if they look like that, the SEM is feels like a metal rod. The SEM is so wound extremely tight, and majority of times you can go just like, remember I taught you how to palpate the atlas just below the mastoids. If you go to the atlas, it's hard to feel through the SCM, so you're going to go anterior to the SCM attachment and try to poke back to feel that atlas, and it's going to feel so intense because the SCM has been crunching down the occiput onto the cervical spine for so long because of this forward head posture. So come in anterior to the SCM. The SCM will feel like a rod, and I need you to tilt their occiput in a way that allows their body to relax. So, majority of times is what I do. I have their head in my hand. I put my thumbs right on the anterior aspect of the mastoid. I can actually feel the bone there. And so I'm holding them like this. I have my hands out like that. I come right inferior to the ears, and I press down with my thumbs, boom, boom, on the mastoid bone. From there, I just shunt my fingers down a little bit inferiorly, and now I can have it on the pretty much really close to the insertion point of that SCM. origin, whatever you want to call it. And now we're on the atlas, but we don't know that we're on the atlas because we're having to feel through these metal rods of the SCM. So let's figure out a way to calm down those SCM muscles. I have my hands like this, thumbs on the atlas, tell them to take a deep breath in, and then a deep breath out. You're going to notice how they're just concentrating on the breath. While they're just concentrating on the breath, I need you to pull their occiput superior, not like tractioning. It's not tractioning. It's changing the angle. So they most likely be like this. And so when they're like this, you're going to have their head. And when you tell them to breathe, they're going to be focusing on the breath. You pull that occiput. Watch my occiput right here. Right. Watch this part of my occiput. They're going to be like this and breathing. And then I want you to pull their occiput like this. And at first it's just going to be a tilt of the head. So from this, you're going to turn it to like this, right? And now if I'm like this versus I'm like this, think about the foramen magnum and the spinal canal. Woo! They probably haven't felt that in a long time. And creating that ease in the nerve system is going to be a big thing for them. So I have my thumbs on the atlas, fingers on the base of the skull. When they're breathing, I pull their occiput superior and I change the orientation. When that starts to happen, I can feel the cervical spine unload from this hyperlordosis and it starts opening up. When it starts opening up, it's going to spasm and they are going to flinch, and it's also probably going to continue to feel like it's like a metal plate on them. It's so tight. And 98% of my geriatric clients, that's what it feels like. So when you pull their head towards you, when they're on the table, your thumbs are on the atlas. After the cervical spine starts to relax and you can feel the tissue start to become easy underneath your fingers, they're going to fight you a little bit. They'll have some spasms a little bit, or there's a complete resistance. If there's resistance, you can ask them to tuck their chin a little bit, right? So if they're here, ask them to tuck their chin. It's not easy to tuck their chin like this. Some of them may go like this. They'll tuck it to their sternum. And then I want you to show them. You hold the back of their head, and then you can tilt their head like this and say, oh, that's a little bit more like this may help you. When you do that, all those muscles are going to be super soft. The atlas becomes a little more accessible because the SCM starts chilling out. And when you can feel that, that is the kicker. So that will help decrease the amount of tension in the cervical spine when they're breathing. And then you'll recognize how their body starts to calm down a little bit. You'll recognize the pec and how they have these in-rolled shoulders when they're doing that, and you tilt the chin and they start having to focus a little bit, and they're focusing on their breathing. And then when you start changing this orientation, their body starts focusing here, but their mind's focusing on the breathing, and all that distraction create this. You will see their chest open up because the amount of tension from here, they don't have time to even cognitively think about it. If it's a longer stored pattern in their body of this tension, you will see them holding this. But the more the parasympathetic system engages, you'll recognize their shoulders being able to relax a little bit more. Okay? So that's a really beneficial tool when they're on the table. Let's just start with that, okay? I know that may sound very minimal, but it's actually super beneficial. The atlas is one of the major things that I work with in my geriatric clients. I will talk to you about the rest of the spine and how it kind of articulates whenever arthritis sets in, and then what your impulses will look like for an adjustment, and also what it feels like to palpate, what it feels like to have an area in the spine that you really need to localize and focus your care on, because you've been taught an area of decreased motion, and we're looking for subluxation in certain ways. And then when you get to the geriatric clients, there's decreased motion everywhere. So I want to give you some advice on how do we really localize the area that needs care. And then when we do that, how do we modify our impulse or adjustment in order to make it appropriate for the person on the table? I also want you to know that I provide side posture, sacral adjustment to my grandma, and she's 98. So don't be afraid to provide the right type of care at the right moment for the right person, okay? I love you guys. I'll be dropping these small little bit of videos so that you can have that practical application going into your own practice, especially when you start getting to next trimester. You're not afraid to promote yourself to the older population, okay? Have an awesome day, and I will see you soon. Bye.